When you go online and click buy, it usually feels like magic.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you find the shoes or maybe the flight or the electronics, you tap a single button and the system just handles it.
Right.
And then, a couple of days later, a box just magically shows up at your front door.
Yeah, it's super smooth.
It is. It's totally effortless. But the thing is, it is also a complete illusion.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, right beneath that completely seamless surface, there is just an absolute war going on.
Yeah.
It's this high-stakes, highly sophisticated, invisible battlefield. And it's deliberately hidden from you, the everyday shopper.
Which is probably for the best, right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Frankly, if it wasn't hidden, the anxiety of knowing what's actually happening to your data out there might make you never want to shop online again.
Exactly. So today we are pulling back the curtain on this hidden war for your digital shopping cart. We are taking a deep dive into the materials of the people who are actually fighting these battles on the front lines.
And they have a really unique vantage point.
They do. Specifically, we're looking at data from a company called Accertify. They are a massive digital risk management platform. And what makes their perspective so valuable is that they were actually founded by former in-house fraud and risk managers.
Right, so these aren't just, isolated software developers.
No, exactly. They're veterans who have actually been in the trenches protecting these massive global brands.
Yeah.
So our mission for you today is to understand exactly how these massive companies protect billions of dollars from invisible, highly advanced threats, and all without making your actual shopping experience totally miserable.
And that really is the central tension of your everyday digital life.
How do you mean?
Well, how do these enterprises balance the, desperate, non-negotiable need for maximum security with your demand as a consumer for maximum convenience?
Oh, I see. Because I definitely get annoyed if I have to click too many things.
Exactly. If they get it wrong in the other direction, like if they are too loose and get robbed, or too strict and completely alienate you, the whole business model simply collapses. Yeah, it is a fascinating high-wire balancing act.
Okay, let's unpack this because to really grasp the stakes here, we have to start with the mind-bending scale of the operation.
The numbers are wild.
They are. According to the source material, Accertify protected over 7.6 billion e-commerce transactions last year alone.
Yeah, 7.6 billion.
And in doing so, they prevented more than $9 billion in risk.
Which is just a staggering figure.
$9 billion. That is literally the GDP of a small country, just quietly stopped in the background of the internet.
It really illustrates the volume and just the relentless velocity of the threat out there. But what's fascinating here is that it isn't just the amount of money they saved.
Okay, what is it then?
It's the core philosophy they use to actually execute that defense. Accertify operates on a tagline that anchors their entire platform, which is move at the speed of right.
Move at the speed of right. I like that. I find that phrasing really interesting.
Yeah, it's very deliberate.
It implies that just moving fast isn't enough anymore, but moving cautiously is, equally dangerous.
Exactly. Their primary goal is finding the absolute perfect trade-off between customer experience and risk mitigation.
Right.
It's about enabling companies to aggressively pursue revenue growth without the constant, paralyzing fear of loss. Because in the digital world, any delay, any extra click is considered friction.
And friction is bad.
Friction is the ultimate enemy of growth.
Right. I was thinking about this, and it feels like the ultimate bouncer dilemma.
The bouncer dilemma. I like that.
Yeah. Imagine a massive, incredibly exclusive, high-end nightclub. If the bouncer at the front door stops every single person, checks their ID under a magnifying glass, runs a full background check, and frisks them,
The line's not moving.
the line is going to wrap around the block, and the legitimate guests, the VIPs who are there to drop thousands of dollars, they're going to get super annoyed by the friction and just leave to go to a competitor's club.
But on the flip side of that analogy, if the bouncer just waves everybody through because he wants to keep the line moving fast, the club descends into total chaos.
Exactly.
The registers get robbed, the place gets trashed, and the business goes under by the end of the month.
Right.
So the platform's job, essentially, is to be a bouncer with superhuman intuition. But the limitation of the bouncer analogy is speed.
How so?
Well, a bouncer takes maybe a minute per person. This system needs to instantly and confidently identify authentic, unique customers in milliseconds.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's less like a bouncer and more like a biological immune system. Instantly recognizing foreign threats versus healthy cells completely automatically, without the host body ever feeling a symptom.
I really like that upgrade. The immune system is guarding the whole body, not just the front door.
Precisely.
And that is a perfect transition, actually, because here is something from the materials that totally caught me off guard.
What's that?
The front door, like the actual checkout page where money changes hands, isn't even where most of the attacks are happening.
Yeah, the data on that is wild.
The source points out this really shocking statistic. Non-payment account attacks are 8 times higher on average than attacks on the checkout itself.
8 times. The telemetry on that is quite sobering. It completely shifts the paradigm of where security needs to be deployed.
Well, wait, why would hackers waste time attacking an account if they aren't actively trying to buy something at the checkout?
What do you mean?
Like, I want to push back on the logic of that scale for a second.
Uh,
I completely understand that an account has value. I know that if someone hacks my account, they can steal my loyalty points or maybe drain a saved gift card.
right.
But 8 times higher, that seems disproportionately massive. What is the strategic value to a sophisticated fraud network to attack a basic login page that aggressively if they aren't, trying to steal my credit card right there at the register?
It's a great question. And to understand it, you really have to look at the broader ecosystem of organized fraud. You're right. Draining a saved gift card is small potatoes. What these highly sophisticated networks are doing is using an account login as a proxy.
A proxy?
Yeah, securing the checkout is just no longer enough because these criminals need clean accounts to mask their behavior.
Wait, what do you mean by a clean account?
Okay, let's say a fraudster buys a batch of 10,000 stolen credit card numbers on the dark web.
Typical Tuesday for them.
Right. If they just create a brand new account and immediately try to buy 5 flat-screen TVs with a stolen card, the system's going to flag that instantly.
Right, because it looks super suspicious.
Exactly. It's a brand new account with no history making a massive purchase. But if they use a botnet to crack your password and take over your existing trusted account, an account that has been active for 5 years, that regularly buys, I don't know, socks and books, and has a solid history of good behavior.
Oh, no.
Yeah. They can use your account's good reputation to essentially age or test those stolen credit cards.
Oh, wow. So they are basically wearing my digital face as a mask.
That's exactly it.
Because the system trusts me, it lowers its defenses, and they can run their stolen cards through my trusted account without triggering the alarms.
Exactly. Or, they use your account to extract deep personal data to use in a highly targeted phishing scam somewhere else entirely.
That is terrifying.
It is. And that is why Accertify emphasizes that a modern platform must provide end-to-end protection spanning from login to dispute.
From login to dispute. Got it.
You have to safeguard against all account-related attacks from the absolute first millisecond a session is initiated, long before a transaction is even attempted.
So the immune system has to be active everywhere all the time.
Precisely.
Okay, so that is the external threat. The organized hackers, the botnets, the credential stuffing. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
The platform isn't just dealing with Russian hackers or dark web carding rings. They also have to manage a threat that comes from entirely within.
The inside threat.
Yeah, we are talking about actual legitimate customers who are exploiting the rules. The source material highlights a specific feature they offer called abuse protection.
Yes. And this is where the conversation shifts from, black and white, highly illegal fraud into a very messy, highly subjective gray area of consumer behavior.
Right. We are talking about returns abuse. Like wardrobing is a classic example here.
Wardrobing.
Yeah, the person who buys an incredibly expensive outfit, wears it to a gala on Saturday night with the tags carefully tucked inside, and then returns it on Monday morning for a full refund.
Happens all the time.
And they aren't criminals in the legal sense. They are just suburban shoppers with a flexible moral compass.
Exactly.
But the reality is that a very small percentage of a brand's customers are likely driving the vast majority of their returns expenses.
It's a massive drain on profitability. I mean, think about the logistical cost of processing a worn item, inspecting it, and either discarding it or deep discounting it. It just destroys the margin of several healthy sales.
But if I am a major global retailer, isn't profiling my own customers and actively labeling them as abusers incredibly dangerous for my brand image?
This raises an important question, and it's the exact tightrope these brands are walking.
Because the line between normal behavior and abuse can be razor thin. Like, if I order 3 pairs of jeans because I don't know which size will actually fit me and I return 2 of them, I'm just a good customer acting totally normally in an e-commerce world.
Right, that's just modern shopping.
But if the system gets too aggressive, flags me as a policy abuser, and suddenly blocks my return or bans my account, I mean, I am furious.
Naturally.
I will go to war with that brand on social media, and I will literally never shop there again. So how do they not accidentally nuke their relationship with good buyers?
Yet, exact scenario is the catastrophic failure they are trying to avoid. And that is why the source outlines the critical need to easily and accurately distinguish between three very distinct categories:
Which are?
the good customers, the excessive returners, and the policy abusers. To answer your question of how they do it without alienating you, the good customer, it really comes down to behavioral telemetry.
Behavioral telemetry, meaning they aren't just looking at the sheer number of returns, they are looking at the context of the returns.
Precisely. The system has to be incredibly sophisticated in its profiling. It's looking at very granular data points.
Like what?
Well, when you return items, are they consistently missing their charging cables?
Oh, interesting.
Or do you frequently initiate a return online to get an instant credit, but then you conveniently forget to drop the box off at the post office for 6 weeks?
I see.
Or are you returning high-value electronics just days after major sporting events, like buying a huge TV for the big game and returning it the next day?
Ah, the classic move.
Right. Accertify's machine learning models ingest hundreds of these subtle signals to confidently spot the true policy abuser. And it's completely invisible to the good customer who genuinely just got sent the wrong size sweater.
So it's not a blunt instrument at all. It's a highly calibrated behavioral map.
Hmm.
Which brings us to the most important question. How are they mechanically executing all of this?
It's a lot of moving parts.
It is. We have hackers hitting the login page 8 times harder than the checkout. We have wardrobers trying to return worn clothes. We have billions of dollars on the line. What is the actual engine powering this defense?
Well, according to the materials, Accertify's platform is built on 4 main pillars to handle this massive complexity.
Okay, what are the pillars?
First, artificial intelligence and machine learning. Second, community insights. Third, deep expertise. And fourth, flexibility and control.
Got it.
And they deploy these pillars across several specific modules to solve the exact problems we just discussed.
Right. We've talked conceptually about account protection for logins and abuse protection for returns, but their core engine is fraud detection, right?
Yes.
And that ties into a module called payment optimization. Now, the source specifically mentions that payment optimization optimizes something called 3DS usage.
Right, 3D.
Now, for anyone listening who doesn't spend their days reading, payment processing manuals, what is 3DS actually doing in the background?
So 3D Secure, or 3DS, is essentially the behind-the-scenes digital handshake between the merchant and your bank. It's an authentication protocol.
Okay.
In the past, 3DS was that really annoying pop-up window that forced you to remember a separate password for your credit card.
Oh, I hated those. I'd always just cancel the order.
Exactly. It caused massive friction and cart abandonment. But modern payment optimization dynamically manages that handshake.
How does it do that?
If Accertify's AI determines you are a low-risk, trusted customer, it seamlessly negotiates an exemption with the bank in the background.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you never see a pop-up. The transaction just goes through, converting the sale while blocking the fraud.
That makes total sense. And this directly ties into some of the most impressive data in the source material, especially regarding the European markets.
Yeah, the European regulations are tough.
Right. Marks & Spencer Group, the massive retail chain, recently faced strict new SCA regulations.
Strong customer authentication.
Exactly. Which essentially mandates tighter security checks for online purchases in Europe. But despite those strict new laws, Marks & Spencer implemented an Accertify solution that maintained a frictionless journey for 99.98% of their customers.
Think about the magnitude of that achievement. 99.98%.
It's crazy.
That means out of 10,000 shoppers, maybe 2 of them ever even noticed the security check or felt any friction at all.
That's incredible. And Target Australia saw similar results.
They did. They adopted a multi-layered strategy that allowed them to maintain frictionless journeys for 99% of their customers.
Wow.
The system is just absorbing all the complexity of the law and the threat and presenting the customer with nothing but a totally smooth path.
Okay, but what about when a transaction does go wrong? Let's talk about the final module, chargeback management.
Chargebacks. The bane of retail.
Right. So a chargeback is when a customer calls their credit card company and says, hey, I never bought this. Give me my money back.
Yep.
Usually the bank just yanks the money back from the merchant. And it is notoriously difficult and super time consuming for a merchant to prove the customer is actually lying.
It's a huge headache.
But the case studies show United Airlines used Accertify and actually increased their chargeback win rate by more than 40%.
Yeah, 40%.
How is a 40% jump even physically possible?
It comes down to automating the evidence.
Automating it.
Yeah. Historically, to win a chargeback dispute, a human employee at the airline would have to, manually dig through multiple databases. They'd print out flight manifests, check the IP address of the purchase, verify the frequent flyer history.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. They'd have to compile it all into a PDF and send it to the bank. It took hours per case. So honestly, a lot of merchants just wrote it off as a loss. It wasn't worth the time.
So what does Accertify do differently?
The chargeback management module automates those workflows. When a dispute hits, the system instantly compiles all that digital evidence, proving the device ID matches the user, proving the ticket was actually boarded, and it automatically fires it back to the bank.
Oh, wow.
They increase their win rate by 40% because they completely remove the manual bottleneck of proving the truth.
That is fascinating. It's like automated truth. And it leads me to another case study that really stood out to me. Finectarty, the major retail chain.
Oh, yeah.
They reduced their card chargeback rate by more than 30%. But the detail that blew my mind is that they achieved that 30% reduction while actually reducing manual review.
Right, which seems counterintuitive.
Completely. Usually, if you want to lower your fraud rates, you figure you have to hire an army of human analysts to just stare at orders all day. How do you get safer while using fewer humans?
Well, that is the power of the first pillar, artificial intelligence and machine learning. The models become so highly confident in their risk scoring that the system just doesn't need to route borderline transactions to a human for a second look.
Because it already knows.
Exactly. It can confidently decline the bad actors and approve the good ones autonomously. But the AI doesn't get that smart in a vacuum. It gets that smart because of the second pillar, which is community insights.
Community insights. This is where we look at a company like Sportsbet, right?
Yes, perfect example.
The source notes they decreased their fraud losses by over 80% year over year, and their chargebacks dropped by more than 82%.
Those numbers are just massive.
They are completely game-changing numbers for a business.
Yeah.
So how does community insights actually drive an 80% drop in fraud?
If we connect this to the bear picture, it's essentially the concept of herd immunity applied to e-commerce.
Herd immunity.
Yeah. Because Accertify has been serving some of the world's largest global brands across multiple industries for 15 years, they have this massively robust, interconnected ecosystem. They are not fighting these battles in isolation.
Oh, I see. Because they are protecting airlines and retail giants and sports betting sites all at once, they can essentially share the homework.
Exactly. Say a new, highly sophisticated fraud ring develops a totally novel way to test stolen credentials, and they launch an attack on a sports betting site.
Okay.
Accertify's AI instantly ingests the telemetry of that attack. It analyzes the specific device fingerprints, the velocity, the IP routing. It learns what that new threat looks like in real time.
Oh, wow.
So when that exact same fraud ring turns around 20 minutes later and tries to use the same methods to attack an airline or a big box retailer, the system already recognizes them.
Because it's seen it before.
Right. An attack on one single platform trains the overarching intelligence to protect every completely different platform in the whole network.
That is incredible. Going back to our earlier metaphor, the immune system isn't just learning from the germs that enter your body. It literally instantly downloads the antibodies from every other person on the planet the second they get sick.
That's a great way to put it.
So the bad guys only get to use a new trick once before the entire global network becomes immune to it.
And that shared intelligence is really the only way a system can truly operate at the speed of light across 7.6 billion transactions. You absolutely need that massive cross-industry community data pool to make an instantaneous, flawless decision about who is genuine and who is a threat, all without causing friction.
So what does this all mean? To bring this all together for you listening, we started by looking at a completely invisible layer of the internet, a hidden battlefield where $9 billion of risk was neutralized last year alone.
Yeah.
We uncovered the backdoor threats. The reality that sophisticated networks are 8 times more likely to attack your basic account login to age their stolen cards than they are to actually hit the checkout.
We also explored the really complex behavioral psychology of the threat from within.
The returns abuse.
Right. We saw how advanced telemetry allows businesses to carefully separate the good customers from the policy abusers who are driving up return expenses, fundamentally protecting the brand's relationship with legitimate shoppers.
And we saw how a platform built on automated workflows, dynamic 3D secure handshakes, and cross-industry herd immunity allows massive global brands to stop fraud in its tracks.
Absolutely.
They are increasing their chargeback win rates, dropping their fraud losses by 80%, and keeping the actual shopping experience 99.98% frictionless for the rest of us. They are completely shutting the bad guys out, managing the rule breakers, and letting you walk right through the front door without ever breaking your stride.
It really is a masterful, deeply technical balancing act of mitigating risk while preserving the ultimate customer experience.
It is, but learning exactly how they pull this off leaves me with one final, kind of profound thought for you to mull over.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if enterprise platforms like Accertify are using artificial intelligence and global community insights to successfully map out the exact difference between a good customer, a policy abuser, and an organized fraudster.
Right.
And they're doing it almost entirely based on how we click, how we log in, how we return items, and the velocity of our habits. It makes you wonder about privacy and identity in a totally new way.
That's a really good point.
How totally unique is our digital behavior? Are our mundane, everyday online shopping habits the way we hesitate before buying a sweater? The specific way we initiate a return actually as distinct and traceable as a physical fingerprint?
It's a wild thought.
If a machine learning model can instantly recognize your authenticity just by the specific rhythm of how you browse for jeans, maybe the concept of a password or an ID is already obsolete.
Yeah, you might be right.
Maybe the system doesn't need you to prove who you are anymore. It just inherently recognizes the unique digital footprint of the way you move through the world.
Definitely something to ponder.
Something to think about the next time you effortlessly click buy. Keep learning, keep questioning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.